Hi everybody, it's Rogan. Take two. I don't. I can't figure out exactly what makes the phone turn the whole image sideways. Like I want to be able to hold it upside down and not have it. Oh, see, what's that about? Why is it turning? Is that going to turn and turn back when I post this? It doesn't really have anything to do with the video I wanted to make. I was trying to watch Mike Flanagan's breakthrough hit Hill House, which the way people talked about it, I had reason to believe it was at least less incompetent than Midnight Mass or The Fall of the House of Usher. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's less incompetent. It's exhausting just watching something that dull and meaningless. I gave it half an hour. The line readings are just really bad. Doesn't seem like Flanagan knows how to direct. He doesn't know how to decide where to put the camera either. He's just not a director by normal standard neoclassical standards. I recently saw something somewhere. I'm sure on the internet, on the YouTubes, that about a study they did. Where they'd show a guy 3 lines labeled A, B, and C, and ask him to point out which one is longest. And it's obvious which one is longest. He pointed out. Then they'd bring in two other people who the first guy is told are also experimental subjects, but the other two are actually patsies and part of the gag. And they are instructed to agree that the longest one is actually the shortest one. And in that context, they ask all three. So the guy who correctly spotted easily, like any child would, which line is the longest the first time, when he's confronted with two people who apparently are thinking and seeing clearly, agreeing that the long one is a different one, a good high percentage of the time, he will change his answer and conform with the two idiots. And clearly that something that explains the Mike Flanagan phenomenon, because wow, this stuff just isn't entertaining. It's just not good, and it's not even the kind of bad that's entertaining. I almost fell asleep, and I'm wired. It took me like 20 minutes to get soperized to that extent. It's just not. And like I said, it's technically incompetent. But what's weird to me is that this is typical of horror fans now. People I know who love these shows are horror writers and their circles. People who are serious about genre horror. People who grew up on Stephen King, John Carpenter movies, and the generation after us. Where did y'all get the idea that you need to form up into a herd and stampede together? Why is that what has happened to a community that used to be rich in argument, if nothing else, and a community that used to be not a community? Because my generation, we all grew up alone. There was like 2-3 kids at my school who were into this horror and fantasy stuff. And the in-between place, this sort of dark fantasy that's horror signs and signifiers, but not really genre horror. Like, for instance, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It's got vampires, but it's not scary. That kind of thing. This stuff used to be counterculture. And it's cool that it's become mainstream, that centrally, the center of the culture, the mainstream culture. It's cool. That is the normal drift of culture, from underground to above ground to the center. It is normal that Sam Raimi, who directed The Evil Dead, should end up directing Spider-Man, for example. But this bizarre need to conform coming out of the fan community is really, I mean, it's not. If you could see my feed, I mean, I don't know. It must look similar to everybody else's. It's not just that everybody agrees that this Mike Flanagan garbage is really good. They agree on the terms on which it's really good. Everybody uses the same language. They talk about how he's brilliant, writes brilliant dialogue in exactly the same terms. He's even using the same adjectives. It's weird. Like, don't you have taste of your own? Don't you have ideas of your own? Discernment, taste, and discernment? There's other TV shows. There's a lot of other TV shows, man. I mean, it's it's a hard thing to put your finger on because there's definitely a conformity of opinion regarding Central Classics. This is sort of how neoclassicism works. Like the same crowd that I'm decrying, loving Mike Flanagan, is sort of adjacent to and descended from the crowd that included me that loves Rod Serling's Twilight Zone and concedes that Harlan Ellison's stretch on the '80s Twilight Zone is pretty damn good too. For instance, conformity of opinion. Um, I mean, nobody ever says they don't like the Twilight Zone. But if they did, people just say you were weird. Like, maybe you should just watch some again because maybe you missed something. How did you miss something? When I post on Facebook that I hate Mike Flanagan's TV shows, I'm eviscerated. I've had people quit speaking to me for pointing out how dumb Midnight Mass is. Because it's not just that everybody's agreed that it's good when it's not. Everybody's agreed that it's smart when it's dipshit moron bait. And it is weird. It worries me. It seems bizarrely authoritarian. Like I must just be angry and mean on purpose because I'm not agreeing with everybody else on like whether a turd smells like shit. I mean, it's not really. I spent 7 minutes talking about this. My thoughts are a little inchoate and a little incoherent. I guess I may have more to say about it later. This herd mentality, the need to conform within the horror community, the fan community. But maybe I won't. Maybe it doesn't matter that much. Anyway, I wouldn't bother with any of these guys' so-called shows. They aren't putting on a show unless you count Smoke and Mirrors as I mean, I guess that's a kind of show. I guess glamour masking emptiness is a show. Yeah, it's a show of something.